Hi, welcome to Tyne Valley Motorhomes. I'm Callum and this is a handover of a Chausson FirstLine 788. So as I start the walk round on the driver's side of the vehicle first point you get to is your habitation door. So on the FirstLine, you've got to use the individual habitation key to open your locks, including your habitation door. You've got your two fridge vents, your awning light, and then an awning. This one has been fitted with the Connect pack from the factory, which includes the fuel Omnistar awning. If yours doesn't have it, it won't come with the awning, but we can fit that, or another dealer can fit that for you. Cassette toilet. So again, using the habitation key, you need to unlock the cassette toilet so that you can push the button in there to release the door. Ensure that the mechanism is not engaged on the cassette, which is the grey lever, which is known as the slide or the blade on the inside of the toilet, must be shut for you to lift the handle and the cassette to come out of the vehicle. If it was engaged, you would know, because you won't be able to pull it out of the vehicle, it will be stuck in the vehicle. Lift the handle and you've got some wheels, so you can drag it to your waste disposal point, which is normally beside your toilet block on your site. And then to empty, remove the grey cap, press the orange button at the bottom and you'll be able to tip the content of the cassette out of the vehicle, down the waste disposal point, out of the cassette. And then normally there's a tap, so you put some water in here, give it a rinse and just clean the cassette out again. Then you've gone with the chemical, so it's a cap full, 120 millilitres of either the green or the blue chemical into here, and it's good to go back into the vehicle. Or if you're using the new form of chemical, which is in the tablet form, so in a cellophane sachet, you put a pint of water in, which you can do when pushing it in completely dry, flushing a pint of water in, or you can just pull the slide back, open it, put a pint of water in and drop a tablet in here. It doesn't matter if you do it this way or you do it in the vehicle, it doesn't matter because it's going to do the same job. Behind the back wheel on the driver's side is your waste outlet. So this is anything that you've put down a plug hole, so shower water, hand basin water, dishes water, cups of tea, anything that you've drained off will go into here, and you'd simply pull the handle and you'll see the water coming out the middle of the vehicle. So what you want to do is you want to ensure that you're over the designated grey water waste disposal on site before you pull and let your wastewater out. Ensure that this is fully drained off in the winter, as you wouldn't want it to freeze and cause any damage to the vehicle, because it will void your warranty. So this is one of the points you want to drain down, known as your winterization process. Here you've got your garage. So on the 788 you get a good sized garage. So you've got tethering points, got a light which will come on and off once the main control panel in the vehicle is turned on. Internal silver screens, external. The external ones are great for reflecting the heat or keeping the heat in, same as the internal ones. You've got tethering points in the garage, main circuit bleed, torn eye for the Ford. Awning winding handle is in there, we'll show you awning in a separate clip. Got a fire extinguisher, so you can put this wherever you want. I wouldn't advise drilling into any walls, just keep it loose because you don't know where the wires are. We have had a customer drill it to a wall and go through the wire for a drop down bed. And then you've got your box on your entertainment accent head unit. So your garage has got 12 volt, 230 volt and is heated by the diesel heater, so it does get nice and warm in here. And then you've got this section here, so if the bed was in its lowest position, which it is now, we can put this on, which just stops the draft and stops you seeing in the garage when you're lying in bed. But if it was in the highest position, you can fold the board up, use the turnbuckle and put it up like so. But as it's in the lowest position, as you can see there, you can get your hands in. You might not want the draft off the garage door, so pop that down and it'll keep you nice and warm, and obviously you'll not see into your garage. On On the back you've got an access door as well. You've got a hatch on the back, high level brake light, reversing camera. That bar there, you'll get a one fitted underneath the Chausson decal here, which you can house a bike rack. That's just where the bike rack can sit on the back panel where it's been strengthened, but it will be a fold up one if you were wanting one fitted because of the rear access door. Coming out the passenger side of the vehicle, so you've got your LPG locker. So this is your gas locker. So you can house one 6 kilogram propane bottle in here, or if you were going for a gas flow system, you can have a 11 kilogram in there, because the gas flow system you'll not want to take out, you'll refill the bottle. But if you're using conventional colour bottles, you do just take them out, unscrew them, take them out when they're empty, put a new bottle in. So what you need to do is, this is known as the pigtail. To connect it, it's a left hand thread. Then you want to nip it up with an adjustable wrench or spanner, turn the bottle on and off from the top. Use the straps behind it to strap round the bottle. So there's two, top and bottom. Strap the bottle in so that it's safe and it doesn't move when you're travelling. And always remember to turn the bottle off before you do start travelling. It's just safer in case you were involved in any collision, you can isolate the bottle. Coming further down, you've got your Truma Vent, which is the side of your boiler. So this is where the boiler is located on the van. So on this, I think it's in the back bedroom underneath the floor. So you've got to take the vent off when heating the water on gas. If you're heating the water on electric, then you don't need to bother. But when on gas, you must take it off because it doesn't allow the fumes out and the system will fail. So what you need to do is hand on the top, hand in the middle, and take this off. Pop this either in the gas locker or in the passenger door. Pop it on when you do start travelling, because you'll only need to take it off when on gas. So that's only when wild camping you need to take that off. If you're going on a site, don't waste your gas, use the electric, because that's what you've paid for. This locker here is known as your Technibox locker. So in here it houses your freshwater filler, the charger, your trips and your 12 volt fuses. So start off with the water. Take the cap off, buy yourself a hose pipe with some hose pipe connections, as it's mainly just a brass tap on most sites. Pop your hose into here and wait until it overflows or until you're happy. You can see where the water is lying in the tank, and you can see on the control panel how much water you've got in on at any one time in the tank. So either wait for it to overflow, check the control panel, or check the level in the tank, which you can see for the level of your water. So that's fresh water. Say you do have a full tank of water. Obviously a full tank of water is adding weight that you don't necessarily need to carry around with you all the time. And you're driving off to another site, which is a couple of 100 miles away. You don't want to then you don't want to have more weight on board, you don't want to use more diesel. So what you would do is, you'd lift this toggle up, that'll drain off 100% to 20 litres by lifting it up, putting the pump on and open the tap up, and that will drain off a good amount of water and leave you 20 litres of water to use the toilet or have a cup of tea when you have a break from driving. If you want to drain the whole lot off, you've got to get underneath the van. That's why there's stickers here, and there's a bung just here which is a 15mm compression fitting. You need to pull that off to drain off all the water from the tank, so 100% to empty or 20% to empty. But make sure you do pull that off in the winter and fully drain this tank off, because you wouldn't want the water to freeze in there. Next to it, we do have your trips on mains electric. So if you trip it out with a kettle or a hairdryer, try here before you try your main site. And then you've got all your 12 volt fuses, so 10s, 5s, 20 amp, 3 amp fuses. So carry some spares, go to your local car factors, Halfords, Eurocar parts, somewhere like that online, buy some standard blade fuses and carry them with you, just in case one does blow, you can replenish the fuse. and then you've got your mains connection point. So to hook the vehicle up, you'd get your hooker bleed, lift the collar, lift the flap on the vehicle, hook the vehicle up first, then the sight so you're not walking around with a live lead, and then just press the blue clip in the top left hand corner to release the pins in the hooker bleed when unhooking. So at the passenger door, this is where you fill with diesel fuel. So it's a capless system on the Fords, so just place the nozzle in to fill with diesel and it will react and you'll be able to fill with fuel. And then below you've got AdBlue. So on a Transit it's about 20 litres. You fill this off the pump or in the barrel. You'll get a light on the dashboard when it indicates that it needs AdBlue, so it'll come up with AdBlue level low and it'll give you a mileage countdown on the range. Top it up as soon as you can, otherwise the vehicle could go into limp mode or fail to start if it goes to 0. And you can buy this on the pumps. It's about $1.50 a litre. You'll need 20 litres to pop into there, and it'll normally indicate that it needs AdBlue when it gets to about 8 to 10 litres on the Fords, and then you just need to top it up. And it might just be one thing you do once a year, as it's normally 5,500 miles off AdBlue. 4,000 miles you'll get the mileage countdown. Underneath the passenger seat is where the leisure battery lives, and underneath the driver's seat is where the vehicle battery lives to start the engine. And then with the key, pop it in the front above the Chausson badge, which is where the Ford badge would be on the Transit. Turn it to your left hand side, which pops the bonnet, and then to release, turn it to your right. And in here you have your various liquids. So you've got your screen wash, brake fluid, oil filler dipstick for checking the levels, coolant, and then to jump start it, so you can jump start underneath the bonnet even though the engine battery is underneath the driver's seat. So this is the positive terminal. You'd put your positive jump lead on there, and you'd put your earthen jump lead, which is a black one, on the side of the engine, which is the engine hoist for giving or receiving a jump start. So this is your 12 volt control panel. So if you're hooked up, you'll get this little green light here, which means that you're hooked up on mains to 30 volt. If you aren't, then you are just using 12 volt off your leisure battery. With your master switch in the top left hand corner to turn the vehicle on and off. And then next to it you do have your master switch for your lights, which are all then individually switched around the vehicle. Followed by your pump. So you must turn your pump on to pressurise your taps, toilet, shower, otherwise you won't get any pressurised water through the taps, toilet or shower. Make sure that you've got enough water on board before you turn this on, because you can burn the motor out if there isn't any water on board and you turning the pump on, because the motor's kicking in. You've got your awning light, which is the end one on the far right hand side, which is the light on the outside of the vehicle. And then these correspond with these buttons here. So you've got one of the trailer, which is your leisure battery reading, one of the truck, which is your engine battery reading, and then you've got your fresh water reading. So there we've got just over half a tank of fresh water, 2 bars from full. When that goes red, it means the fresh water is ready to top back up, and when you get a red line here, it means your waste is full. So it is now time to empty your waste from behind the back driver's wheel. Webasto Smart Control. So you've got to make sure that you've got a quarter of a tank of diesel or more in the system for the diesel heater to work, because they're on different levels from the engine intake to the heater intake. And you'd simply press the button, turn it on, press it again, wait until it goes green, adjust the temperature, press enter, and there you go, the heater's working. So it's working to 25 degrees there. You can adjust the temperature right the way up to 35, but do make sure that you've got a quarter of a tank of diesel or more for the diesel heater to work. And you can have this on when travelling to heat the passengers in the back, or just to preheat the motorhome before you stop. So to operate your Dometic fridge freezer, so you've got large freezer box, fridge. It's all controlled through the middle here. So you turn on and off by pressing and holding the button. Turn it off, turn it on. A stands for automatic energy selection. So what that'll do is the brain of the fridge will pick out the best source you have available, and it'll use electric where it can. So at the moment we've got a gas bottle on the back and we've got it hooked up. It knows not to waste gas, so it's went to mains power. If I was to take the hookup out, it would switch over to gas, and if I was to start the vehicle, it would go to 12 volt, and it would keep the 12 volt setting. You need to pre-chill beforehand for it to work properly, otherwise there's no real use of it being on, as it's not going to get any colder on 12 volts. You've got to pre-chill it on either gas or electric first, and then put your shopping in the night before, or if you've been to one site and you're ready to go to the next, your shopping will be fresh. When you start up on automatic, it will switch over to 12 volt, and as long as you travel, it should keep your shopping nice and fresh. Failing that, you can change it manually, so you can take the air off. It's on the hookup, mains 240 volt, it'll act as a mains household fridge. Battery code 6, loss of 12 volt because it's not getting any because the vehicle's not started. And then gas, which you'd use if you were wild camping and you had no other way of cooling the fridge than using gas. Temperature here, so 5, put on full blast when cooling down. When you put your shopping in, you might just want to turn it down, as it sometimes does freeze the fridge and the freezer. And then you've got your frame heater here, so you can turn that on, and that'll stop the door rubbers from getting stuck to the frame when operating on full temperature. When you are finished with the fridge, just clean it out, give it a wipe out, take everything out. No matter if you're leaving it for a couple of weeks or a few months in the winter when you're not using it, you've got to leave the doors open, because you will start to get smells in the vehicle off the fridge if the air is trapped inside of it. But what you can do is, underneath both, you've got these little toggles. So you've got one there, we'll get that one replaced. It needs to go in there. Same with the other one. Once it gets, there'll be one put on there. I'll make sure you pop it into there, and it would keep the doors ajar, and you can get air circulation in and out of the fridge and freezer to stop the smells. And then when you're travelling, you can pop the travel catch on the bottom to stop the door from opening on itself. If it ever did, if you went over a bumpy road and the door decided to open, it would stop it because the travel catch is on. In the kitchen area, you do have one electric ring on the hob, which is this side here. You do have to be hooked up for that to work, and then 2 gas rings which are lit there. So if you're on a site, don't waste your gas, use the electric, but you can use your gas if you want. Make sure the gas rings and the electric hot plate has fully cooled down before you put the lid down, because you don't want to shatter this glass. And then underneath, you've got your oven, and above you've got your grill. If you've had your gas turned off for a long period of time and something's struggling to light on gas, say the water heater or the fridge, best thing to do is always prime the gas through the hob first by just pressing and holding, waiting for it to come through, and then lighting, because you're bringing it to the highest point, which is the hob, as everything else is low mounted, and you're purging the gas through the lines, so then the other appliances should be able to find that gas and pull it to their line for either the fridge or the water heater. Storage up here, obviously a little switch for the light which I've been through, another 2 12 volt USBs and a 3-pin plug. You may want to just turn this one round onto its sides, so that if your plug's got a big stopper on the end, it's not going to stop you from getting into the cutlery tray, and some storage underneath. So to make the smart lounge at the front of the Chausson 788, so what you've got to do is remove the cushions front and back, and then use the black knob to pull the backrest up, and it's fitted with ISOFIX. So if you're having children's car seats in there, if they're ISOFIX compatible, they can fit onto the frame and be securely fastened in. And then at the front you've got your headrest. So just attach that. And then you want to use the two bigger cushions, not the smaller one. So the big base cushion and the backrest. Feed it through the seat belt. And there you have another forward facing seat, and you've got two on either side identical. So on this vehicle you've got a 4-berth, 4-belted motorhome. So to operate the drop down bed, there's a switch in the kitchen, so you just need to make sure the lights are turned on the control panel, which gives the feed to the switch for the bed. It's just how the French have wired it, and then you'll be able to pull it down until it stops there. You've got your ladder further back, your safety nets if you're putting children up, they clip into the frame. Around the frame there's some lugs, and then onto here just to stop them from falling out. And then on the side of the cabinet here you've got the light switch for the light on the ceiling, so you can turn it on and off when you're getting in and out of the bed. Take your pillows off. Don't put any too thick duvet or mattress toppers on, because it can be too much weight for the motor and it would blow the fuse, which is where you'd have to replenish the fuse. And then when you're winterizing the vehicle, don't put the bed right the way up. Keep it dropped off the ceiling a couple of inches so it allows air circulation. So about there, so it allows air circulation between the top of the mattress and the top of the roof, so that the air circulates and you don't get any stains or anything on the mattress from condensation or coldness when the van is unattended. At the back of the vehicle you've got your island bed on the 788, which if you lift up, it's an easy bed system, so you can raise the height of the bed or lower the height of the bed depending on what you have in your garage. So using the handle, which just clips on here, pop it through the front of the bed, it'll clip on here, and then you'll be able to wind the bed down to its lowest position, or wind it up if you're going to put bikes in the garage, which is why you've got a garage on this model, because you can get bikes in. Instead of having them on a bike rack, you can put them inside, or if you've got an awning or large items in the garage, obviously you can raise the bed up to its highest position there. And as you can see there, the bed's higher. Wardrobe. Push the catch underneath the cabinet to release the door, and then you do have two individual reading lights. So just press the ends for them to come on. Storage up there, and then storage in here. So you've got shelves on this side, the wardrobe is in that side. But on this side of the vehicle is where your hot water controls are. So you've got twin USB points there for charging your phones, devices, and then you've got two switches. So you've got this Truma boiler at the top, which is, this is the gas, that's the electric. So the gas, obviously the bottle needs to be turned on, the cover needs to be taken off the outside of the vehicle, otherwise the fumes from the flue won't clear the vehicle, so it'll fail. To operate the switch for the gas, which is the top one, you've got off in the middle, 50 degrees, which is the temperature of your water, or you do have the higher output, which is 70 degrees of heating your 10 litres of water at any one time, which is what your boiler holds. Below you've got your electric side, so if you are on a site Don't waste your gas, use the electric, because that's what you've paid your site fees for. So you've got 750 watts, which is 1 quick kilowatt off in the middle, or you've got the bigger output on electric, 2 kilowatt, which is 1500 watts. But by all means, you can use the gas and electric together if you're in desperate need of water. Obviously, putting both switches on will reduce the time it takes to heat the water, as the gas and electric are working together to heat that 10 litres of water. But like I say, if you've paid your site fees, don't waste your gas, use the electric. And when on the electric, you should have hot water within about 10 minutes anyway. Underneath this compartment in the floor on the 788 is where your boiler lives. So your boiler lives here, because your vent's on the side of the van here, the flue where you've got to take the cover off. So that's why I say from outside, if you find your flue cover on the outside of the vehicle, you'll find your boiler location on the inside of the vehicle. But down here you've got a yellow drain down toggle. So this is to drain the water out of this system. So in the winter, when not using the vehicle, it's very important that you drain it off, because if you don't, the water can freeze inside of this big cylinder here, which is your boiler, and it doesn't cover frost damage under your warranty, because it's the consumer's responsibility to drain the vehicle off. And to drain it off, you just simply lift this up, stand it on end like so, leave it stood up on end during the time you've got the vehicle stood up and not in use. That'll allow all the 10 litres of water to drain directly out underneath the chassis. So it'll just start flooding the water out underneath. Open the taps in the middle position of the mixer, so kitchen, washroom, shower, and also remove the shower head from the hose and lie the hose in the shower tray, just to stop any water from coiling up in there and potentially freezing. Open the fresh by taking the bung off underneath the van, and open your waste just to stop any water from freezing on board. And then when you come to reuse it, do it in reverse order. So shut your boiler, put your bung back on underneath your fresh water pipe, shut your waste, shut all the taps, fill the vehicle with water via a hose pipe in your Technibox locker. Come in, put the control panel on and put the pump on, and go to the cold side of the tap first. You'll get a pressurised flow of cold water straight away, because it's pressurising it from the tank underneath the vehicle to the tap. But then when you go to the hot side, it'll cough, splutter, and what it's doing is it's transferring the water from the tank underneath into here of 10 litres. So you'll get air, it'll cough, splutter, make all sorts of noises until you get a free flow of water from that hot side. This is when you know that this is then full of 10 litres of water. Then you can continue to heat your water and test that your hot water works. But once you get a free flow on one tap, do them all, and your system is then primed for the season. But remember, drain it off, and you drain it off via that toggle here, so it's lying down, it's holding water. Standing up, no water can stay in the boiler. To operate the toilet, so you need to ensure the pump's on and press the blue button on the back, which is your fresh water flush. So always flush the toilet first to put a bit of water in to keep the seal between the blade and the top of the toilet lubricated. So put a bit in first, then what you want to do is you want to open the blade. So slide this to your right. You'll see now that you can look into the cassette. So use the toilet in this position, everything will then go into the cassette. You would then flush after use and then slide this back to the left. So sliding it back to the left will shut the blade, and then when the cassette is then full, it'll indicate on the top here with a light. You can go outside and you can pull the cassette out. Should you not be doing it in this order and you leave that open, obviously the cassette won't move, because the mechanism's still engaged and it's locking it and holding it inside this compartment here. So you've got to shut it after use, for then when you get the cassette out, it'll come out. If not, you'll know what you've done and your blade's just not closed or not closed fully enough. Shower light this side, washroom light that one. Cupboard for your toilet rolls, toiletry cabinet, more toiletry space. It's just indicating that your water system's working, and as you can see there, that's hot water. It's very hot. And then above, you've got a hanging rail for towels. You've got exactly the same skylight and rail in your shower, adjacent from me. So hang your towels and your wet coats and things on there. If you've been out for a walk or walking the dogs and you've got wet, as you can hang it in that one and it'll drip dry and drain out via the waste. And open your skylight. Firstly, always make sure you've locked the lid, unlock the lid on the skylight, and you'll be able to wind and get a nice bit of ventilation in the washroom, and the same for the shower. But like I've said before, travel, always make sure these are fully shut and that they're locked in place. Give them a test by pushing them and making sure that they are shut. Bedroom door or bathroom door, depending on if you want to block it off from the front of the vehicle or not. Release the catch and then you can push your screens in, and you've got the same hanging rail here for your wet coats and wet towels. And then, like I was saying, when winterizing, unscrew the shower head, because any water can sit in here. Leave the mixer tap open and the pipe into the shower tray. Any water will drain out your 2 waste outlets in the shower. So now in the cab, to the right of the driver, you've got your handbrake, which is a foldable handbrake to allow the cab seats to spin. So you've got to pull it up, press the button in and release, and you'll see the red light in the bottom of the speedo go out, which means it's off, and then pull it back up, hear it click, and it's back on. Electric windows, driver and passenger. Locks the doors. You have to manually lock the habitation door by pushing the chrome catch in. Mirror adjustment, driver and passenger, and it is just the big mirrors. You've got to manually adjust the little mirror, which is the blind spot mirror. Brightness of the instrument cluster, you can adjust that when the lights are on. Headlight adjustment, I'd just leave the headlights on automatic. They'll come on when it senses that it's dark, and they'll turn off when it senses it's warm. Fog lights, front and rear. Wipers, indicators. Voice command, skip and answer. Skip and decline a call. Digital speedometer. On here you can go through instant fuel usage, distance to empty, which is your range, 234 mile, average speed, average fuel usage, 30.8 miles per gallon, trip timer 1, distance on the trip 1. That's all on there. And you can go to here and go down to maintenance, and you can view your oil life, your AdBlue level, so you can see that your minimum refill is 5 litres, your maximum refill is 14.8 litres. So you do have about a 17-18 litre tank on a Ford by the looks of it. On this side you've got cruise control, so you press that, push it up to set, push it down to adjust the speed. So plus and minus, you can adjust it. Once you've set it, you can adjust it by slowing it down or speeding it up. Cancelling here, resuming there, and then the limiter. Obviously if you're on a 50 mile an hour average speed camera zone, you can go up and down slowly, goes up in 1s, push and hold goes up in 5s. And then if you're on the accelerator, I'll not go over that until you either cancel it, which you can see there, it's got the cross through it, which means it's cancelled, and you can resume it there. Volume and mute. Mode just goes through normal and eco. So if you get the speed in normal, and then once you're cruising at say 70 mile an hour on the motorway, hit it into eco, it'll just save your fuel over the yearly usage of diesel in the van. So
you'll see that you save a bit of fuel and it lasts a little bit longer in eco, but you can only do that once you're at this set speed. Don't put eco on when you're going up and down speeds, because it will limit the horsepower of the vehicle. Keep it to what it is. Once you're at speed, knock it in eco. Once you're going to overtake, knock it back into normal, and then back into eco. And then you can turn your traction on and off here. 6-speed manual gearbox. Lift the collar into reverse, which will bring on your sensors. There's your beep for your sensors. Just on there. Also should bring on your rear view camera, but it's coming up with no signal at present. So what I'll do is I'll speak to the workshop controller, I'll mention that in the fridge catch, and we'll get that sorted straight away for you. Temperature, aircon, recirculation, heated windscreen with it being a Ford. Face, feet, screen, where you want the air to go to be circulated to, heated mirrors, on and off, and the fan speed. Hazards, 12 volt for charging, USB for the radio, Accent F280 head unit, so you can press navigation, and it's got the chip in the side for the sat nav, and it'll load the sat nav here. Press in the right hand corner, it'll show you an overview of where you are, and you want to press new route. And when you press address, and you want to put your postcode in the middle one, where it says town and postcode, you'd enter where you want to go, and then press select as destination, set as destination, go, and it'll start your countdown. So you've got to go through 3 other pages before the navigation will start, once it gives you an overview of how many miles and how long it takes you to get there. You've got radio, which is FM AM, but you're going to use DAB, so press tab, press list. You can view your files, so you can view the national, Tyne and Wear stations, the national stations, and the BBC national stations. Once you're happy, you can press preset and save up to 6 of your favourite channels there, and then you can connect your phone by going to phone, delete all of these, you search for your phone, search on your device at the same time for Accent, press pair on here. Then it'll ask you if you want to download your phone book, just press allow, and it'll download your contacts into the head unit. And then you'll also be able to stream your music if you're going to use any Bluetooth music by pressing music, and you can use Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and stream your music through here, as it doesn't take a CD. Failing that, you can put a memory stick in and go to the next menu and go to USB or iPod and get your songs that way. And then you do have your curtains to black the screen out on an evening, and you can put your silver screen on the outside of the windscreen over the doors by clipping it round on the top of the doors underneath the wipers, and that'll reflect the heat and keep the heat in the winter.